A big thanks to the awesome folks over at Gravitas Ventures for giving me an early screener to a movie I've been wanting to see called Slotherhouse. And is this the worst B movie, worst terrible movie that I've ever seen? Quite possibly. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel and thank you so much for taking your own time out to check out this review, where today we're talking about Slotherhouse. Directed by Matthew Goodhue and starring Lisa Amber-Lavenor, Olivia Rouyer and Sydney Craven. Emily wants to become president of a sorority house. However, in order to do that, she adopts a cute sloth in hopes that it will boost her popularity and help her win. However, the sloth has other ideas in mind, i.e. murder. I'd like to give a huge thank you to all my awesome patrons who help to really support the channel. If you want to join Patreon, shop merch, buy a copy of my debut book, where Patreon starts from £1 per month. You can find a link to that down below in the description box. And also, if you want to request a movie for me to watch at any time, I do have a link to my PayPal where you can request this to be watched as a short and reviewed with a shout out, or you can request a long form review with a shout out, also a link down below in the description box. Going into this, I'd seen a trailer and that's kind of about it, and after checking out the movie, what I can honestly say is if you love kind of B-rate movies, if you love a so bad it's good kind of movie, Slotherhouse is absolutely up your alley. So I'm going to be honest, I've covered a couple of those on my channel. I mean, I've covered a lot of terrible movies, but more specifically, more recently, I've covered like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and The Mean One, for example. And for me, I would say Slotherhouse is better than those two. The positives right away is the practical effects that's used here. For what is used is done well. There's plenty of blood, there's plenty of splatter. This is definitely a mix of a couple of different genres in the horror genre itself, kind of like a slasher, and you know, you get like sorority houses and you get like cliches and tropes, and all that's in here in buckets and spadesfuls, especially with the sloth at the helm of this and kind of like the puppetry work that's used here. I think for the most part is actually done pretty well, and it is just fun. There's elements here where this just mocks Halloween. The sloth heck drinks beer at times, drives cars, and basically gives someone like a joke, a smile, and so much more. There's definitely going to be horror movies you've probably seen in the past. You're going to be like, yeah, that kind of reminds me of that moment, or yeah, that's just been taken from that moment right here. Now, in terms of the acting, I'm going to be honest, about 99% of it is pretty bad. The only kind of decent, mild, kind of good acting I would say is from two of our leads who plays Emily and Madison. Those two ladies give probably the best performances out of the bunch here. Everyone else is just bad. At the end of the day though, everyone knows what kind of movie they're in, so I didn't expect like, you know, Academy Award winning and Oscar winning acting. You're not going to get that here. I definitely just had a fun time with this. It was stupid, just turned my brain off. There's a couple of times I got a couple of chuckles here and there as well, so definitely had some positives going for it here. And I will say that the cinematography actually is quite nice here, and the on-set location that they use of this kind of sorority house, I really appreciate that, and I definitely added an element to the movie where it just helped you to buy into the premise. But also, this is probably the best kind of budgeted B-rate movie I've maybe even seen. Now, if I'm going to go into the negatives, I'm going to be honest guys, this movie is just absolutely stupid. There's definitely some mistakes here. For example, there's one girl that's killed in like a bathtub. She's got like a sponge in her mouth, and you see that as they go into the room. Then the next scene where two of the girls are actually trapped in the room, the sponge is out of her mouth. And I was like, how was that falling out when it was just there like a second ago? It's not as if like the whole room shaked and maybe like, you know, her body fell or anything. She was in the exact same position. So, you know, it's just kind of goofs like that, you know. And as I mentioned, the acting is absolutely terrible, especially Emily and Madison's best friend. I'm not too sure of the actress's name. I forget it will be down here. But she was awful. I mean, the issue is some of it is that bad. They go for like cringy cliche jokes and it's just not funny. It lands absolutely flat. The final like kind of negative here, because going to be honest guys, it's hard to kind of critique something like this when it knows exactly what it's going for, is I felt like this movie was a little bit too long than it needed to be. It kind of clocks in around 92-93 minutes long. I felt this movie should have kind of been 80 minutes flat, right? Because I feel like some of the pacing kind of lags. We get some like extended like monologue and speeches which we just don't really need. We could have had more time for like more killings, or to extend the killing scenes and maybe showing a couple more practical effects if they were able to do that. And I just think this would have been kind of like more like tighter, more of a kind of compelling narrative for this B-rate movie that it is going for, and its clear direction in that regard. Also, one final thing just to mention here very quickly is that there is kind of like a mid-credit scene. So it was alright. It was just goofy more than anything, to be honest. But yeah, there is a mid-credit scene just to keep an eye out for. So if I'm going to give Slotherhouse a score, as I mentioned, it's quite hard to critique this, but I did prefer it over kind of The Mean One and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So I'm going to give the movie a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Have you seen Slotherhouse? Is it on your radar to check out? Well, leave any and all comments down below so we can continue the discussion down there. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button down below, and until the next time, I'll see you, I'll be seeing you later.